Welcome to Prince Shorthand House. Exercise number 105 and 106, Sir Kailash Chandra. 140 words a minute, total 2000 words. Be ready. Start. This bill has been introduced in this house in pursuance of the recommendations of the Press Commission. Honorable members might remember that the Commission has devoted some part of its observations of this question of having a schedule which will regulate the price of newspapers according to the page that they contain. Some of the points that the Commission have made are relevant here and might help honorable members in considering the bill more carefully and also examining the grounds on which this recommendation has been so emphatically made by the Press Commission. The Commission says in para 205 that in the present newspaper industry of this country, papers of long standing which have been able to build up a large and stable volume of the advertisement revenue are in a very advantageous position as compared to others who have just entered the field. It is true that such economic advantages and handicaps exist in a number of industries, but their presence in the newspaper is not, in our opinion, conducive to the even and healthy development of the press. Newspapers serve as media for the free exchange of information and of ideas. The proper functioning of democracy requires that every individual should have equal opportunity insofar as this can be achieved to put forward his opinion. I have just given a few extracts from the Commission's report in order to explain the underlying idea of the Commission. The main aim of the Commission's recommendation is to see that a fair price is guaranteed to independent small papers and thus enable them to resist competition from bigger and richer papers. It is also to protect such papers against unfair price competition such as exists in other industrial commodities like cornering, price cutting, etc. It is the Commission's contention that though such practices might be tolerated within a certain limit in other industries, it should not be so in the press industry, where we have the medium of expression of public opinion and where cornering by a person or a group of persons of this medium would mean the passing of this medium into the hands of a few persons and their monopolizing the medium of public opinion and throttling the expression of opinion by others who would like to place their views before the public. This, in their opinion, would be practically amounting to denial of the freedom of expression, and it is in this light that they have made this recommendation. The Commission have said that they have examined many schemes as to how it would be possible to ensure the largest amount of freedom of expression, and they felt that this was probably one of the most effective ways by which we can ensure freedom of expression. I would like here to mention that when the Commission's report came out, the government had discussions regarding those recommendations, and the recommendation regarding price page schedules was also one of those important recommendations which were discussed with a number of organizations which were concerned with the newspaper industry: the All India Newspaper Editors Conference, the Indian Federation of Working Journalists, the Indian Eastern Newspaper Society, the Indian Language Newspapers Association, and also a large number of individual newspaper editors and proprietors were consulted. This discussion took place many times, and the pros and cons of this question were thoroughly discussed. We found that the majority of the members were very much in favor of some such legislation and restriction. There is no doubt that some of the papers were against it, but that was to be expected. Afterwards came the debate in Parliament on the Press Commission's report, and government found that in the discussion in both the houses there was a very strong opinion, I would say strong majority opinion, that some such legislation on the lines of the recommendations of the Press Commission should be undertaken by the government. Here I would like to mention one or two things regarding the question of the price page schedule and the pros and cons of the advantages or disadvantages of a schedule. The points in favor of the schedule might be considered briefly. It will tend to equalize the competition and also prevent the emergence of monopolies. Secondly, it will also relax the control of big advertising interest on newspapers and in that sense generally make them more independent. Thirdly, the creation of monopolies and the cornering of large numbers of page papers by one or two or three groups impinges on the fundamental right of freedom of expression, and by trying to restrict such practices we will be reality be giving greater scope for freedom of expression than we can now. These were the main things which we had in view in the discussions with the newspaper interest. However, in discussing the details of the price page schedule, a number of points cropped up, and we had also before us all the arguments that could be put forward against the schedule. We certainly carefully considered all of them. One of the points which was brought forward was that this was something quite new and was therefore likely to create a very unfavorable press and unfavorable reactions regarding our country in the international world. It might be even spread abroad that India is restricting the freedom of the press. Now, regarding this point, I do not think it will be correct to say that no such restriction exists. Even today and formerly on a greater scale in Great Britain, and price page schedule existed and exists. No doubt the object of it might be quite different. The object is to give a more equitable distribution of newsprint, but the control by a statutory corporation of the distribution of newsprint only to papers, if they follow certain price page regulations, is there and has been functioning for the last 15 years or more in this country during the war and immediately after. We had the schedule for a number of years. Next para. Before the Joint Select Committee, as also in the Lok Sabha, very strong arguments were advanced, and it was said that something more should be done than what had been proposed at present in the case of linguistic minorities. This they wanted done by the insertion of a particular provision in the Constitution. It would be clear to honorable members when the Constitution (9th Amendment) bill is taken into consideration. The States Reorganization Commission have also dealt with this question and have suggested that the minorities should not be allowed to develop a separatist tendency. They should not ask for a state within a state or something else incompatible with their citizenship of that particular state. Still, it is essential, especially where there are linguistic minorities, that some proper safeguards should be evolved. For that purpose, certain provisions have to be included in the Constitution. Now, some members of the Joint Select Committee in particular were not happy. They desired that something more should be done, and in particular statutorily recognized, that is, either they should be placed in the States Reorganization Bill itself or in the Constitution. That question was considered by the Home Ministry, and we have already sent out to the various state governments a circular, a copy of which was placed before the Joint Select Committee. This circular has been published along with the report of the Joint Select Committee. In that, honorable members will find that certain safeguards have been suggested regarding middle or high schools, regarding concessions in respect of administrative matters, etc. It was suggested that the governor ought to have some powers of making inquiries into these matters. The governor also will be making inquiries in the light of the amendment that has been proposed in the Constitution (9th Amendment) bill. It was further contended that it would not be sufficient unless we have got statutory safeguards. So far as these statutory safeguards are concerned, it was considered that it would not be advisable in the interest of the linguistic minorities themselves to have these safeguards. What is most important is that though certain rights have to be safeguarded to the minorities, they have to develop a sense of oneness and harmony with the rest of the population, and the rest of the population also should not believe that these people have got separatist tendencies. If certain statutory safeguards were introduced, it was felt that they would lead rather to the worsening of the good relations between the linguistic minorities and others than to any improvement. Therefore, all that could be done was to send out a circular to the state governments pointing out broadly the main features of such safeguards with the desire that they should protect or safeguard the interest of the minorities to the extent possible, subject to the reservation that I have already pointed out. It was also suggested that just we have in the case of the scheduled caste and the tribes a commissioner appointed by the government who goes to the various states, find out the position and then makes a recommendation or a report which is considered by the government of India. The state governments and others, there ought to be a separate officer for the purpose of finding out the position so far as the linguistic minorities are concerned. On behalf of government, an assurance was given that this question would be duly considered by the government of India, and if they find that the appointment of such an officer would be useful to the interest of the linguistic minorities, then such an officer would be appointed. However, I would point out that so far as statutory guarantees are concerned, I would desire that these guarantees should not be insisted upon, because after all we have to develop a sense of oneness. In any state, every state, there are bound to be linguistic minorities, and their attempt ought to be to completely harmonize themselves with the majority community. The majority community has also to be generous so far as the legitimate rights of these people are concerned. So this process of mental approach towards each other would perhaps be halted or at least adversely affected if such guarantees are given. We would then think more and more of the guarantees and of the enforcement of these guarantees through the courts of law and otherwise. This will result in the relations getting embittered and will be harmful to the ultimate interest of the nation. This is what might be found to a certain extent in the States of Reorganization Bill. This question will be considered at a greater length when the Constitution (9th Amendment) Bill comes before the House for consideration. So far as the services are concerned, some attempts have been made to lay down the general principles. There are only two All India services, namely the IAS and the IPS. These are the only two All India services, and what has been decided is that there would be fresh cadres so far as the new states are concerned, and officers would be transferred from one cadre to another after taking all the relevant circumstances into account, that is the requirements of the states and also the work that these officers had carried on. That process would be completely after the work is started. The work has to go on and the process would be complete as early as possible. So far as the state services are concerned, certain principles have been laid down. One such principle is that in the case of whole state merging with another bigger state, all the officers at various levels will be carried over into that state. The difficulty arises when you have to deal with the question of the transfer of certain portions of a territory to one state and another portion to other states, as in the case of Andhra Pradesh and as in the case of Maharashtra. Stop.